This episode will be completely taken out of context. Welcome to the Fact Check This podcast. All right, Fact Check This podcast, episode 46, and today is going to be much less of a podcast and more of a informative thing. I don't have a whole lot of stuff I want to talk about in particular. It hasn't been a particularly busy week in the news. Like, I don't give a shit about the royal interview or whatever with Oprah, and everything else is kind of moving sideways right now, waiting to see how the stimulus stuff comes out, and there's some interesting developments in the works with all of that, but it's not something that I have a particular interest in talking about today until things kind of hash themselves out a little bit more. So what I did want to talk about was something I had posted to Facebook and shared around as much as possible earlier in the week, and I really wanted to touch hard on it and talk about it more. So there was back in December, the Mary T. Clinker Veterans Resource Center had assisted a vet who was found sleeping in his car in finding a place to live, and his name was Danny. Danny was suffering from bladder cancer and desperately needed surgery for his cancer. So the Mary T. Clinker Veterans Resource Center, they found him a place to stay. They got him all set up. Like, they worked on helping him to get kind of back on his feet, and they were getting him taken care of as he awaited his surgery. His surgery was postponed by over a month, or maybe roughly a month, by Indiana Governor Eric Holcomb's decision that certain surgeries and other medical procedures be deemed non-essential in the wake of COVID. So this guy has bladder cancer, and his surgery to remove the cancer is deemed non-essential by our dictator of a governor here in Indiana. So a little over a month later, he's able to have his surgery, and in that time, the cancer has spread significantly, and they have to remove considerably more of his bladder than originally was anticipated. A couple months later, Danny has passed away. He was unable to fully recover from the surgery and everything. I am completely at a loss for words as to how this can be considered acceptable in any way. And the extra kick in the fucking teeth is that now, in the wake of, not specifically because of that, but because that is just one of many stories like that, the Republicans here in Indiana have rammed through legislation to make themselves, to remove liability from themselves for any adverse effects from these lockdowns. I think it was H.R. 1 was the bill, and it says that they cannot be held liable, they can't be sued, they can't be held responsible in any way for the adverse effects of lockdowns and all of this, deeming surgeries non-essential. They have no accountability for that whatsoever, and they rammed that through. They pushed it through instead of fighting for you, instead of fighting to remove Governor Holcomb's tyrannical power, instead of doing anything to actually benefit the people that they claim to care about, that they claim to represent. They ran through some bullshit legislation to cover their own asses so they can't be held responsible for the damages that they've done. No, fuck that. This is absolutely ridiculous and horrific in every way. If you have the phone number of your local representative, you need to call them and dog cuss him up one side and down the other, because everything about this is terrible. They have locked us away for a year. They have told us what we can and can't do. And now they have removed all responsibility that they would have for it by ramming through legislation. These motherfuckers do not care about the people. There should be no incumbents reelected in 2022 or 2024 or ever again until they actually show remorse and do something. Take legitimate steps to reverse this shit and to change course and to fix the damage they have done. They took a disease with a 99.998 survival percentage and turned it into killing off people who need surgery, who need treatment, because it's non-essential. And it's only non-essential because it's not directly related to COVID, because they have wiped everything else clean and only focused on COVID. This should infuriate everyone. If you claim to be on the right and care about veterans and small government, if you claim to be on the left and care about health care and taking care of those who are in need, if you claim to be a humanitarian in any fucking way, sincerely, you should be outraged. You should be standing out on your front porch screaming, these motherfuckers have got to go. You should be emailing, writing letters, calling these representatives and telling them this is a fucking outrage and it has got to end and it has got to change now. They do not care about us. And it's time we stop caring about them. They need to be treated with the same hostility they've treated us with. The non-aggression principle should be thrown out the fucking window because they have aggressed upon us for the last year. And it is time to put an end to it. That's the end of today's episode. I'm not going any more than this because I'm already pissed off enough. You should be too. If you're not, you need to look deep down and say, what is wrong with me? Because these people have got to go. They've got to go. It has gone too far.